Muhammad Abdul Manam. Today we will talk about literature, in particular The Crucible by Arthur Miller. I will discuss in this video the plot or a summary of the plot of The Crucible. So the story begins. The story occurs in the Puritan England town of Salem, Massachusetts. The story begins with a group of girls who go dancing in the forest with a black slave named Tituba. While dancing, they are caught by the local minister, Reverend Paris. One of the girls, Paris's daughter, her name was Betty, she was 8 years old, falls into a coma-like state. A crowd gathers in the Paris home while rumors of witchcraft fill the town. Among the girls who were dancing in the forest was a girl named Abigail. She's the niece of Reverend Paris. We will know this later. Tituba also is the slave of Reverend Paris. Having sent for Reverend Hale, an expert on witchcraft, Paris questions Abigail Williams. Abigail Williams, like I said, is his niece. So Paris questions Abigail Williams, the girl's ringleader, about the events that took place in the forest. Abigail, of course, admits to doing nothing beyond dancing. So she lies and to deflect the blame from herself. Originally, Abigail, we will know this later, Abigail was trying to practice witchcraft. She wanted to get rid of a woman named Elizabeth. Abigail is still in love with John Proctor. John Proctor is married to Elizabeth, and Abigail hates Elizabeth and wants to get rid of her so she can have an opportunity with John Proctor. Next, while Paris tries to calm down the crowd that has gathered in his home after rumors of witchcraft have spread, Abigail talks to some of the other girls, telling them not to admit to anything. Otherwise, she will hurt them. She threatens them. John Proctor, a local farmer, then enters and talks to Abigail alone. Unbeknownst to anyone else in the town, while Abigail was working in Proctor's home the previous year, Abigail, engaged in an affair with him, which led to her being fired by his wife, Elizabeth. That's why Abigail hates Elizabeth. Abigail still desires Proctor, but he fends her off and tells her to end her foolishness with the girls. After that, Betty wakes up. Betty is the daughter of Reverend Paris. She wakes up and begins screaming after hearing the Word of God, or some of the verses of the Bible. Much of the crowd rushes upstairs and gathers in her bedroom, arguing over whether she is bewitched. A separate argument between Proctor, Paris, and the argumentative Giles Corey and the wealthy Thomas Putnam soon occurs or happens. This is a secondary plot. It talks about the feud between Giles Corey and Thomas Putnam. Thomas Putnam has his eyes, or he wants to buy Giles Corey's land. However, Giles Corey doesn't want to sell his land. So we know that there is some kind of feud between the two of them. This feud centers on money and land deeds. And it suggests that deep fault lines run through the Salem community. We know from this that the Salem community is ripped, is not living in harmony. As the men argue, Reverend Hale arrives and examines Betty. While Proctor departs, Hale quizzes Abigail about the girl's activities in the forest and grows suspicious of her behavior and demands to speak to Tituba. Tituba is the slave of Reverend Paris. She was the one who practicing witchcraft or trying to practice witchcraft in the forest. After Paris and Hale interrogate her for a brief time, Tituba confesses to communing or collaborating with the devil, and she hysterically accuses various townsfolk of consorting with the devil. Suddenly, Abigail picks up on this and joins her, confessing to having seen the devil conspiring and collaborating with other townspeople. Betty joined them in naming witches, and the crowd is thrown into an uproar. So Abigail wants, whenever Abigail is cornered, she uses false accusations to deflect the blame, and to also, she has found that using such false accusations is a very effective way of getting rid of people she hates, or to exact vengeance against those she hates. Next, a week later, alone in their farmhouse outside of town, John and Elizabeth Proctor discusses the ongoing trials and the escalating number of townsfolk who have been accused of being witches. Now, numerous people have been accused, and they are either in jail or have faced the gallows or were hanged. Elizabeth, the wife of John Proctor, urges her husband to denounce Abigail as a fraud. He refuses. Why do you think he refuses that? Why do you think he refused to denounce Abigail? Let me highlight this area. Why would you think that he refused to denounce Abigail? There could be two reasons. Either he's still in love with Abigail, or he still has some feelings for her, or he's afraid of coming out or declaring or denouncing denouncing Abigail and declaring that she's a liar. He's afraid that if he does that, Abigail may expose the relationship he had with her. He would then be denounced as a sinful man who committed adultery. Okay, so he refuses, and she, Elizabeth, becomes jealous, accusing him of still harboring feelings for Abigail. We now have another character by the name of Mary Warren. She was one of the girls who were friends with Abigail. She also works as a servant in John Proctor's house. So Mary Warren, their servant and one of Abigail's circle, returns from Salem with news that Elizabeth, the wife of Proctor, that Elizabeth has been accused of witchcraft, but the court did not pursue the accusations. That's because Mary Warren dismissed those accusations in defense of Elizabeth. Mary was sent up to bed by John Proctor, and John and Elizabeth continue their argument, only to be interrupted by a visit from Reverend Hale. While they were still arguing about whether John should go to the court and denounce Abigail, Reverend Hale suddenly arrives. Reverend Hale is the one who is expert on witchcraft. While they discuss matters, Giles Corey also and Francis Nurse come to the Proctor home with news that their own wives, Giles Corey's and Francis Nurse's wives, have been arrested. Officers of the court suddenly arrive and arrest Elizabeth as well. After they have taken her, Proctor browbeat mean he intimidates or forces Mary, insisting that she must go to Salem and expose Abigail and the other girls as frauds. Thank you, class. Have a nice day.